This here is a viewer's broken Xbox One. And apparently I broke it while I was trying to clean it. So I'm gonna give you a bit of backstory here. This video that you're seeing on screen was the console in question. I actually cleaned this in Las Vegas during CES just to add some extra different content to the channel. This is the first time that I had ever cleaned or attempted to fix anything outside of the office. And so I brought all of my cleaning gear with me with very few exceptions. The teardown was pretty straightforward. I don't remember running into really any snags apart from trying to get the upper part of the Xbox One shell together. And I think that's where the issue lies, because the owner of this reached back out to me and told me that he didn't turn the Xbox on for a while after he got it back. He didn't play too much, but then he tried to turn it on for the first time after receiving it back from me, and it wouldn't power on at all. He clicked the power button up front, no response. He also said he tried turning the console on via the controller, still nothing, and he also took it to GameStop to see if maybe the power brick had died, because the original one that came with the system was pretty old, but they were unable to get it powered on their side as well. So he was wondering if there's any way he could send it to me to have me look at it again. So what I initially told him to do, and I'm gonna be very transparent about this whole thing, because I don't want anyone to be afraid of the worst case scenario, which in this case is me supposedly breaking a console. And we're gonna figure out what exactly is wrong with it, because I did test this before I gave it back to the individual. But you know, I have no way of knowing what really happened between the time I gave it back to this person and the time that he or she turned it on. So I am just gonna take responsibility for it, because I don't want this to turn into some huge ordeal. What I've done since then is told this owner to send it to an independent repair shop in Las Vegas. And after doing that, apparently the repair shop told him that the main board needed to be replaced. They said they couldn't get it to power on no matter what they did, and the main board was totally fried. They recommended just replacing the main board outright, which they quoted at a little under 200 bucks. It was like $180. I mean, that's, just for context, I'll show you on screen here. This is what you can buy an Xbox One for right now on eBay. Some of these are new, but most of them are used. You can see they're around 140, 160, maybe 180 US dollars. So to be quoted just 180 bucks for the main board, of course there's gonna be a bit of labor tacked into that as well. It just doesn't make sense to repair the board when you could just buy a new or gently used console for the same price. So that's what I told the owner to do. I said, go ahead and just buy another console. I said, just try to keep it under 200 bucks. It seems like that's pretty doable, and I'll reimburse you for the cost of that console. I will also pay for shipping so that you can send me the original console that I cleaned so that I can investigate, figure out what exactly is wrong with this, because I'm kind of curious. I want to know what I did wrong so that this doesn't happen in the future. And I'm not trying to put us on a pedestal here. If anything, we should be held to an even higher standard, because we are representatives of this industry, and I don't want anyone to think that I'm out to hurt folks. That's the opposite of my goal. So that's why I paid this person. I didn't want him to be without a console for several weeks. That's why I told him just buy another one, and that'll be the end of that. We'll be good, and then I can just figure out what's wrong with this. So hopefully it's nothing serious. I mean, at the end of the day, I've already paid up for it, but I still want to know what I did wrong, if in fact it was something I did, which again, I still find that kind of hard to believe, because I tested this like hours before this person showed up at the hotel. He was a bit late. There was apparently the president or the vice president was flying into Vegas that weekend, and so traffic was super backed up, and he was about 30 or 45 minutes late. But anyway, I think I did everything correct, because this isn't my first rodeo with Xbox Ones, but I'm curious anyway. I'll stop rambling now. I promise you'll want to stick around. Stay with me.
The Be Quiet PureBase 500DX is an excellent mid-tower optimized for maximum hardware support and performance. With 3 included 140mm Pure Wings 2 fans along with a perforated front panel, you'll experience some of the best airflow in the business. And subtle RGB accents never hurt anything. Choose between black and white and soak in your build through clear tempered glass. Take it from me, you won't be disappointed. Learn more about the PureBase 500DX from Be Quiet by clicking the link below.
So let's see what's in the box here. I would be awfully surprised if it was anything other than an Xbox One. But I just want to make sure that it was shipped okay. And oh yeah, it looks like it definitely was. So not the original box, so most people don't keep these older console boxes anyway. I do appreciate the thoroughness of the packaging, because it ensures that nothing else bad happened to this during shipping. And while I normally don't accept shipments, obviously I made an exception for this, because I don't live in Vegas, and this was the only console that we ended up cleaning over there. And here is the unit. It looks pretty clean still. I expected it to be, and it wasn't really used from what I understood. And again, it wouldn't turn on either, so how can you use it? So the first thing I want to do is power this on, or attempt to, and make sure that the symptom described by the owner is what we see here in person. So let's see what we're working with. Again, I don't expect it to power on at all, but we do need to verify that. We've got the cable plugged in. Ooh, nothing. Actually, there's a CD. Looks like a game disc that is just barely in there. It's not all the way in. He probably tried to put something in with the console off. Yeah. This thing is bricked. It's not turning on at all. So we'll need to open it up and figure out specifically what's wrong with it, or well, we'll try to get as specific as we can. I did check the AC adapter that he included with his console. This is the original Xbox AC adapter, and it has the amber LED on the side. This is normal, means this is probably okay. I did check with my own, though. I have a third-party adapter that I use for testing here in the office. It also does not work with his console. Now, my first thought when he first reached back out to us about the console not working was that something was wrong with the ribbon cable here for the front power button. If that cable is disconnected or snagged, because installing this top shell can be a bit of a pain because the ribbon cable attaches to this front piece, which you then have to kind of like hinge into place after the fact. It's easy to snag that cable, and if you do, this button won't work. Problem is, if he's not getting it to turn on either with his controller, it means it might not be the ribbon cable. It might be something much more expensive. There we go. Okay, and what I really want to focus on is the state of this ribbon cable, which I know you can't see yet, but we'll get to it. Aha, and yeah, this is actually what I expected. I'm not sure if this will fix the issue, but you can see there, that ribbon cable that connects to this small little board up front is not where it should be. It should be inside this little tannish clip, and it's not. And actually, we need to leave the front panel the way this is because the ribbon cable is attached to this all the way across, and that's what makes this install so difficult here. So it's likely that whenever I connected this again, maybe the connection was just sound enough to work when I first turned it on after reassembling to make sure everything was good to go. But then after that, likely in transport, this ribbon cable came out, and that's why it won't power on. Then again, it's also possible that the ribbon cable was perfectly fine when it was sent to either GameStop or the Indie, and it was just pulled out or not properly reconnected when they reassembled things. Again, I can't speak for any of the stuff that's happened between the time I cleaned it and now, and that's one of the issues that I have with consoles is that, you know, I can't readily replace smaller components in here. With PCs, it's very simple. If I make a mistake and I know I damaged some hardware component, I can very easily replace. I can isolate it and fix the issue for the viewer, so there's no downtime. With the console, I mean, even if this was my fault, which it very well could be if this is to blame, there's more to it than just swapping a quick part. I'm glad it's probably just the ribbon cable, but who knows? If this video is 25 minutes long and you're watching and you're only 10 minutes in, then obviously it's not the ribbon cable. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna reconnect this, but I'm gonna leave the top cover off. It's not pertinent to the stability of the console long term. And I'm gonna see if just connecting this and then trying to power on up front here works. So we'll connect the console to power, obviously, to do this. And that'll just rule out this as a possibility in case we need to dive deeper into the unit. It's just so easy for this to get snagged, to get torn if it's not slotted all the way in. It's not fun to work with. I think the design is certainly flawed. It's not it's not DIY friendly, so to speak. I'm gonna go ahead and detach this one more time here, just so that I can show you how difficult it is to work with. So the connectors on the cable look to be okay. They aren't stripped. I don't see any tears in the cable all the way along this front panel. I think we're good here. I'm just gonna reconnect it again, but I wanted to show you what this looks like and that the traces are all there. But with it all properly reassembled once more, nothing. We are not getting anything. No power read from this console. That's not good at all. So we're gonna need to dive a bit deeper. Gonna remove the Bluetooth Wi-Fi card here and attach the antenna. Take the cover off now that a few screws have been removed. And we also have this connection we need to take care of on the board. Pull straight up. All right. What are we working with here? Again, this looks super clean because, well, we deep cleaned it. It shouldn't look dirty. It hasn't really been used. I'm just looking for obvious connection problems, anything that we could have done wrong during reassembly. The fan is connected. We'll disconnect that for a second because we'll probably end up pulling off this cooler. We'll take the optical drive out. So detach cables on both sides. I've got the half-lodge disc already removed, so no worries there. Pull straight up on this. This is slotted in correctly, so this front board should be working. Go ahead and pull this out. I'll pull the front I/O board away. Just slots into this larger connector here. Just checking this board looks fine. No issue with the connector itself. On the other side, pads look fine for the ribbon connector. Visual inspection checks out. So at this point, what I've done is pretty much stripped the main board down. We do have the front panel reconnected along with the speaker just so we can hear something if something does happen to work here. I'm going to bypass the ribbon cable altogether. I could have done this a bit earlier, but now that we've got it at just a bare board, I want to see if we can get the console to power on. It's possible that the ribbon cable is still being pretty jank. So I'm gonna jump the final 2 pins here at the bottom. The console's on. That's what it is. And disconnected power very quickly. I just wanted to see if we could get the console to turn on, and we did. Of course, we don't have a cooler over the APU. That's why I don't want to keep it on. But that, to me, looks like just a ribbon cable problem at this point, which should be a very quick fix, because all this is just, think of it like flattened wire. It's very thin and it's flexible as a result, but it's probably just the connector. It looked okay. Maybe we can scrape through a few extra layers of plastic here, try to get better contact with the connector. So what does this mean? Well, so far it looks like the main board is not the problem at all. I mean, this has literally nothing to do with the main board, which would mean that the independent repair shop, wherever this was taken in Vegas, I don't know the name of the store, I just know what the owner told me, they were completely off base. And it's very likely they just threw the mainboard replacement out there because they wanted to make a quick buck, which is pretty crappy, pretty dishonest work. So I wouldn't recommend you go there, wherever that place is. But, I mean, power on, no problem, bypass the ribbon cable. The console does turn on. The speaker wouldn't, I mean, the speaker wasn't working prior to this, which means that the console wasn't turning on when we were attempting to with it reassembled. So the fact that we got that to work now means that it's probably just the thin ribbon cable. So I'm going to show you that cable connector again, and I'm going to scrape away a bit more plastic to see if we can get a better connection with the actual connector on the front board. And if that's the case, then we don't need to buy a replacement front panel. If we do, I mean, it's only going to be maybe like $5–10. And most of this is plastic. We don't even need the full plastic. We just need the ribbon cable itself, which should be pennies. So this side here is what we're working with, and you can see the traces underneath. The plastic covers most of the wiring, but what I'm going to do, because this is the side that contacts the pins in the connector, I'm going to take a flathead screwdriver and try to scrape away the upper layer of plastic a bit further down the connector. Worst case, this totally ruins it. That's fine. Again, this isn't very expensive to repair, and at least in the context of replacing an entire main board, which was suggested earlier. So we'll see what we can do here. I also want to show you the inside of the connector itself. This looks totally clean, no issues, no need to clean any of this up. In fact, I would say that even on the back side of this, if we look at the pads, there aren't any issues, nothing sticking out. So I don't think the connector needs replacing. So just very gently scraping away here. Don't want to chip through the wiring itself, but these pads look a bit cleaner. We'll take some IPA and finish the job, and then we'll try reconnecting and seeing if the actual capacitive button works. You can see these two traces from the ribbon cable that run to the power button, and this is what it looks like, of course, on the other side. So we'll see if we can get it to work then. And if it does, then we can fully reassemble the console. If it doesn't work, then I think I'm just going to order a replacement ribbon cable, because again, it's not a lot of money, and it's just not worth the hassle. Okay, and wiring up again. We've got power at the rear. We're just going to try clicking the button up front now. See if we get a sound. The speaker is wired up, by the way. I'll just let it sit up front here. Here we go. No, nothing. Nope. Oh, it did work. So now to test with a bit more fairness, I've reconnected basically everything. The only thing that's not connected is the Wi-Fi card at the top. We don't need that for the system to turn on, I believe. But I've got the hard disk drive reconnected. Sometimes when those aren't connected, the console refuses to power up. The optical drive, same thing, that's connected. And of course the cooler, so we can let this run for a bit longer. I will track temps. We'll also check for a picture on the screen. That's wired up as well. Crossing fingers. Let's see what we've got. I'm hoping this works.
A few moments later.
And of course, now it doesn't want to work. We've got everything in there. This is why you don't want to fully reassemble until you're absolutely sure. Just creates more work for yourself. Yeah, we're getting nothing. So, I'm gonna disconnect the ribbon cable and we're gonna jump manually. And that'll at least rule out any other issue with the console. We can get it to post by bypassing the front panel. So we're gonna jump the bottom 2 pins here. Why would we get no power now? Is this plugged in? Okay, let's take out the optical drive. The system is on. We're not getting a picture out, which is slightly concerning. All I did was remove the optical drive. And I did that actually with the console still connected to power, so it powered on automatically. This is odd. Odd behavior. Whoa! Whoa, we had it for a second there. We had picture. Why aren't we getting picture consistently? Okay, power on. LED up front is on. Looking for consistent picture here. We have a source. There it is. It looks good. I don't see any issues. Sounds fine. Storage drive is definitely working. I'm not sure how much further we're going to get than this because our disk drive is disconnected. We'll see. But this is a huge plus because, again, I mean, even if this front board wasn't the issue, if it was this optical drive, this still rolls out the main board, which is the most expensive component, as the issue. So either way, it doesn't seem like it was troubleshot very well. All right, and that looks good. I think we're getting this picture here because I did power on without the cooler connected, and it probably just saw that and triggered some warning message. So that's good. So we get picture. The main board is fine. The APU is fine. Memory seems fine. Just for some reason, this is causing us problems. And the connectors look good. I don't see any snags in the cables or anything. No shorts. Nothing at all. It refuses to power up when the optical drive is connected. Okay, so let's disconnect SATA. SATA data. Let's just disconnect the data side of this and see if that's to blame. If I can get it out of here. Okay. Try powering on. Oh, nothing. It's power fed to the disk drive is what I'm thinking. So let's disconnect the power side of this. So now we've just got SATA data connected, which shouldn't really do anything. And it powers on without me even... It just hates sending power for whatever reason to this. Is the cabling backwards? Surely it's pinned identically to both. Let me check on that. Let's try flipping the cable around. I'm gonna feel pretty stupid if that's to blame. I don't think it is. It looks like it's pinned identically on both sides. It's wired up correctly. I know for sure now that it is. Oh! It works now. That should be it. Please tell me that works. Yes, that would be fantastic. Please do post. She's looking for MEC. We get a source. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Okay. I highly doubt it was the wiring because these cables were connected. I mean, they're keyed. They only go in one way on each side. I don't know. I will say though, I'm 100% willing to admit this. This does look like user error. It does look like whatever I did, it just made it super finicky about wanting to turn on or off. I mean, I got a post, but in the transfer, maybe something came loose. I still don't know for certain about this ribbon cable, if this was even to blame to begin with, or if it had something to do with the optical drive and the power cable for that. But this looks to be going. So, wow, that really that really took an odd turn. I don't know. Consoles are weird. I don't know, just spitballing a bit. I don't know what was up with the optical drive. We just kind of played around with the cables a bit, and it all works now. This definitely was an issue. This wasn't slotted all the way in, which would explain why the power button up front wasn't working for the viewer. But again, he also couldn't turn it on via controller, which as far as I'm aware, that should still work without this connected, because all this does is handle the physical power button. It handles the eject button for the disk drive, and it also handles the sync button for the controller here on the far left. That's it, and the console still apparently wouldn't turn on even with the controller. So that might have been where the optical drive issue was coming into play, if it was either wired backwards or not slotted in correctly, which I checked, it looked good, but who knows. Fact of the matter is we got it working now, and we didn't need to replace the main board, which that would have been, oh my gosh, could you imagine replacing a main board and that not being the issue? That would have made the independent repair shop look a bit silly. But before reassembling, I did, again, want to try this. We have an issue. So I actually think the ribbon cable is fine. I think it's the connector that is bad, and here's why I think that. I'm just gonna kind of finagle with the connector a bit. I'm just putting a tiny bit of pressure on this. That's all I'm doing. That doesn't, right? Shouldn't be doing that. So I think this needs to be reflowed a bit. We'll clean up the pads and try to fix this connector. Ultimately, if we get this fixed, I think the entire console will start working like normal again. All right, and after some very quick work with the soldering machine off camera, I tried my best not to melt the connector itself, which is made of a plastic composite. You can see the eject button works now, and the power button, that's the one that's still kind of, I don't know. Sometimes this one works, sometimes it doesn't. And it's delayed as well. So if I hold it down, let's just see, I can't. This one works. And I'm assuming this one over here to the far left works as well. There should be a small bump sound you hear from that when you're trying to sync up a controller. But yeah, the power button is still, it's the only one that's not working. And that sucks. But at least we can eject now. And that was my only concern, was trying to get a disc out of the console just by pushing the physical buttons a lot easier. And to turn the console on, I guess we can just do it through the controller, which shouldn't be all that difficult. I think what I'm going to do with this console now that, well, I guess it's mine now, I bought it from him, or I bought him another one, is I'm going to send the owner's original hard drive back to him along with the CD we just pulled out. So I'll ship those two back, and then I'll upgrade this console with an SSD, so it'll load things a lot faster, should be just snappier overall. And if I ever get tired of that, you can always just order a replacement OEM front power and eject faceplate connector board for like 10 bucks. I mean, it's literally nothing at all. And I'll probably actually do this just so that the console is fully up and running, so that if I ever sell it in the future, you know, there won't be any issues. So now we're going to reassemble the unit. I've got everything connected. I was having a bit of trouble getting the controller to sync. It would obviously sync when it was wired in, but I couldn't get it to sync wirelessly, and that might have to do with the front panel as well. I'm not sure. I didn't have the antenna connected, and that might be to blame. So I want to test with that. If we can't get that to work, then yeah, we're definitely going to be replacing the board. So let's slide this back in. So we'll connect this front board here again, and the speaker. I suppose a good thing about the front panel being to blame and not the main board, apart from the obvious price disparity, is that this is fairly easy to replace. I don't need to take the entire console apart, just the front and top covers, and then we can yank this straight out. Okay, so everything works with the controller connected, no issues at all, the fan's still spinning. Now we're gonna try the wireless sync. So we'll disconnect the controller. And there it goes, now it works. Okay, so it should be fairly straightforward now. Powering off the Xbox, turning it back on. We'll turn the console off, and then we'll see if we can get power back on just by holding down the Xbox button on the controller, so we can effectively bypass this defective area here. So console's off now. And there we go. I'm happy with that. I don't think there's a need to go any further with it. I mean, 10 bucks, yeah, it's not a big deal, but saved me some time and hassle. It's back up and running, and we didn't need a main board replacement. That is the biggest win ever. So, this was really something, eh? I was really hoping that it wasn't going to be as bad as it was made to seem in the emails. And this is not the viewer's fault. The viewer's just, the owner of the system just passing along this info that he was told by the independent repair shop. I think it's safe to say GameStop really didn't look too much into it. That's not really their forte as far as I'm aware. They might have folks on site that can work on these, but generally they're just there to buy, sell, trade, etc. You could have maybe taken it to Geek Squad. I'm not sure if Geek Squad would have helped, but you possibly could have taken it there, and they probably would have charged you 150 bucks just to look at it. The independent repair shop, I don't even know if they took it apart, to be honest with you. The way that things were torqued down, I mean, it seemed pretty solid, although that's a pretty standard thing. I can't really judge too much there. It looked pretty much in the same state that I left it in, and they clearly didn't do enough due diligence, especially with the front panel connector, which, again, folks who work on Xbox Ones, they know that ribbon cable is freaking annoying. That whole connector is annoying. And, you know, I wish they would just use little contact pins, but of course they had to complicate it. And that was the first place I looked, because I knew, just based on forums, my own experience, that cable was annoying. And if you're not getting any, picture, you're not getting any power by clicking the power button, it's probably the ribbon cable that's bad. Heck, we still, again, have that problem. I'm not entirely sure what was wrong with the optical drive side of things. That one's a bit of a mystery still. Again, this isn't my first rodeo. I've done this many times. That connector is keyed only one way. There's only one way to connect it on both sides. So unless the pinout is different on both sides of that, which would be super weird because it's the exact same connector, unless that's the case, that shouldn't have been a problem. I don't know why we were getting that weird symptom where if we disconnected the power side of that cable, the console would work just fine. I think the biggest issue was the front panel. And the fact that that was totally overlooked by the repair shop in question, that is super, super concerning. But yeah, I'm glad it works again, so we can use it ourselves. I did outright buy the other guy a console, so this one I'm probably going to keep. And we'll figure out what he wants to do with the storage drive in here. If he wants it back, I'll ship it to him. If he doesn't, at least until I find the time to upgrade the SSD, I'll just wipe the drive and start fresh with my own account. I do have an account because I've used Xboxes in the past. When I was in college, I didn't have a gaming PC. I gamed with an Xbox 360 and then an Xbox One. So these are great consoles. So with that out of the way, if you guys enjoyed this one, let me know by giving this one a thumbs up. That would be greatly appreciated. You can also consider subscribing if you have not already. Leave a comment down below letting me know what you think about this video. I do think that this was my fault. I do. And that's part of the whole point of these videos. I want to document the mistakes I make, the failures that I run into, failures on my own behalf, of maybe others' behalf that we're trying to remedy. That's the whole point of this. I don't claim to know everything. Of course I don't. There's so much stuff that I'm still learning every day, and that's why I end a lot of these videos with the "thanks for learning with me" phrase, because I'm in the same boat as most of you. And I enjoy learning about this stuff too, so it's also a passion of mine, and I'm just glad that you guys come along for the ride. Thank you for your viewership. It allows me to continue making videos like these, and yeah, stay tuned for more stuff here on the channel. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I didn't really think about what I was going to say this far into it. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next one. My name is Greg. Thanks for learning with me. And there goes my son opening the door. Right at the end. Perfect timing. Come on, Bugs. You want to say hi to the camera? Hi. You want here? Come over here. Don't shake the camera. Come over here on with Daddy. Come around the table. Yeah. Oh, of course you're in your underwear, so that's cool. Hi. Hey. Hi. Waving. Hi. Hi. Okay. Bye.